This is a review of a book by Anish Giri, the Dragon Sicilian, a Take No Prisoner Repertoire versus one E4. In fact, it's a repertoire because in the end the author also cover the possible Sicilian sidelines like the Alapin or the Bishop B5, Rosalimo. So he gave us a chance to see what to do. There is also a chapter on the Dragodorf, so it really covers a lot. Here you can see the back of the book with this top player, Anish Giri. And I find interesting that in chapter 19 it shows us various second moves. But, for example, the book has diagrams that are in color, in a sense, this brownish thing of the chessboard, so it's nicer than the usual black and white book. The book is mainly by variation, not full games like other books do on the opening. And I would like to show you the introduction because many players don't know what is the dragon, right? So you see it from the black side. E4, C5, the Sicilian, no? And here the author writes, the ambitious Sicilian defense. Black is fighting for the center, but from the side, without going for a symmetrical pawn structure. Symmetrical would be E5, okay? So C5, knight F3, D6, D4, the open Sicilian. The first 5 moves of the Sicilian dragon are the same as in the Najdorf, on which I also create a chessable course. So C takes D4, knight takes D4, knight F6, knight C3. Up until this point, it's not clear what type of Sicilian black is going to play. There is the classical Sicilian with knight C6 and the Najdorf with A6. But this book deals with the most romantic and aggressive of all Sicilians, the dragon, G6. The move that defines the Dragon Sicilian, this opening is named after the pawn structure H7, G6, F7, E7, D6 that has the shape of the dragon. At least that's what I was brainwashed to believe when I was a kid. Incidentally, the name also reflects the spirit of a variation. The dragon is notoriously ambitious, risky, and reckless. However, when going over the lines during one of the many training sessions for the Candidates Tournament 2020-2021, I discovered that its reputation for being dubious is rather undeserved. The dragon has always been a popular and very successful opening for amateurs and club players, but I believe that, in light of the groundbreaking discoveries I will present in this book, it can be played all the way up to the very highest level. Okay, sorry if I pause a minute to give a little of historical background. Obviously, the dragon in Fischer time, this player that is believed to be the greatest of all time, and to which many obviously aspire to be a role model or fight because Karpov, Kasparov, all that generation was obviously trying to emulate and beat Fischer in their minds. Well, he showed many times that in some of his games in the Dragon he would totally steamroll the opposition. So probably now, thanks to computers, we are able to refute some of those attacks that killed so many Dragon players. Now let's return to the book. Now that I have some experience writing about the French and the Najdorf, I believe I can strike a very fine balance between presenting cutting-edge, top-level chess theory and offering clear and practical guidance to players of all levels. So here it shows bishop e3, by far the most played and also the most dangerous setup, called the Yugoslav attack. So the book can also be good if one doesn't really want to play the opening, just to learn the names of the lines and what is the state of the current research and knowledge upon this opening. Bishop g7, and the idea of the dragon is to develop the bishop to the long diagonal, while also keeping the central pawn structure e7 d6 intact. Interestingly, this often means that besides going for an attack on the queen side, black is also often happy to enter an endgame, as his own pawn structure is excellent, and there is not much white can offer in return for our pressure along the semi-open c5. Now, I'm not reading you all the comments by the author, just showing a little this line, f3, castle, queen d2, knight c6. And now we have landed in the main tabia of the Dragon Yugoslav attack. Here white has to choose between the old main line, bishop c4, and the more modern approach, queenside castle, allowing d5. So bishop c4 doesn't allow d5. Which, as it turned out, doesn't immediately solve all of the opening problems. Here it continues with bishop c4, knight takes d4. Is my main recommendation. It will be thoroughly examined in this book, and long side castle. Is the modern line, main line, and a very critical continuation. The established theory is that black has to defend a slightly worse position here, making the old dragon a lot less attractive than what it used to be. Recently, however, while looking through older and more dynamic variation, I discovered a hidden way played in only a handful of games, which seems to give a new twist to the traditional approach of dealing with this critical system. Now that you've seen this, I would like to go to the last chapter of the book, because it's kind of funny. By the way, before going to the last chapter, I would like to show you one thing that is very useful in this book is the index of variations, which show you, let's say, move by move, what black should play if white plays what. Why is this important? Because you can learn the opening also playing correspondence games, and so you need something like this to understand what is the next move played by black, and in which page you find it that is covered, okay? Now, the part I wanted to show you that I think is funny is the following. It's the various second moves, and it starts with something that for sure it will make you laugh a lot, okay? So, I think the book is very funny. Anish Giri is known to be funny in his ex-Twitter messages. This is an example. e4, c5, and he begins to analyze as a second move, king e2. The bongo cloud attack is all the rage these days. You can do anything in this position, but beware, the game is not going to win itself. And here he gives the line that you should play: knight c6, d3, d5, a little more brutal than Wesley's 3g6, since Wesley played this, so this is interesting, which brought him a great position, but no luck against Hikaru in a tournament blitz game. Nakamura saw speedchess.com 2020. Notice that there is also another interesting line that is covering, and that I find some computers play. e4, c5, and now the second move by white is queen h5. This is an interesting move. This move, played a few times by Hikaru Nakamura, was considered extravagant before the bongo cloud appeared. It is not nearly as bad, but white does lose a couple of tempi for no reason. So how do you defend here? It seems the best move is e6. The easiest defending the c-pawn and making a useful move opening the f8 bishop. Then Nakamura played f4 three times, so the author is joking but is also making his homework for us, and that's what I consider important. Obviously, there are more lines that are really covered, like Alapin Sicilian, Close Sicilian, to which are dedicated some chapters. And then, of course, the Rossolimo, like I said, but here you can see chapter 18 is just dedicated to the Alapin Sicilian, which is a possible second move by white that is very important to cover if this book wants to be a repertoire, okay? And this is what it wants to be. So I'm happy that Anish Giri covered the not so classical Sicilian to give the reader a possible complete repertoire. Then, of course, you need to do a little your homework too, okay? But it's a good book where to start if one wants to play the Sicilian.